Morning folks, how you doing? Hope you're all doing well. We've got a nice-ish sort of day here. It's quite warm still. It's only about 8 o'clock in the morning. We're still pretty warm. Got a few jobs to do down on the plot today. I've not been down for a few days. It's been one of those weeks at work this week. So I'm finally down here. It's Saturday morning. Got a few jobs to do. Just going to go through the gate. 2 seconds. If I can open the bolt as we go through. And if you bear with me, I'll spin you around and I'll show you what we're going to be up to today. So here we go. If I can get this camera thing to work, let's have a look down here. First job, I think, of the day is, you can see there's some flowers started to appear on some of the rhubarb. So we'll be getting them snipped off. Whenever you get flowers like that on the rhubarb, you need to make sure you get rid of them, because they will take all the energy out of making nice, delicious rhubarb and put it into making flowers. Next job we're going to have on the go, if I move over to here to where I've dumped my stuff over the fence, is we've got some onions that are long overdue going out, and just beside them over there we've got some potatoes to go into this potato bed here. That's the last of the potatoes. We've already got some out, planted over there. I didn't do a video for that. I was just up here one day, just sort of cracked on with that and got them all put out. And I did one the other day. You saw the one where they're in the buckets over there as well. Next thing we're going to do, if I spin you back round, is we've got a couple of empty pallet collars over there. Certainly that one there in the middle, I'm going to get that one filled up today with a bit of luck, because I've got some lettuces that are absolutely desperate to get out, so they're going to go in there and we'll get them grown. Because I mean, I guess the rest of the UK are probably pretty much the same as we've had here in Scotland over the last few weeks. The weather has been really crazy. And if I have a look here, this is some Kelsey onions we've got in here, and that's really dry in there. I mean, this is April, it's supposed to be wet. I can't even remember the last time we had rain. So I'm going to get everything watered up today as well. The onions will get watered. I'm even going to give the rhubarb some water, which is unusual. And the broad beans over there, they're going to need some. And again, further down the plot, let's have a little walk down. Let's have a walk down while we're here. We've got some shallots in there. We'll give them a little drink. More shallots and garlic there. And I mean, the garlic looks really healthy. It's absolutely romping away in there. But I'll probably give it a wee drop of water as well, just while we're here to keep it going, because we haven't got rain forecast till about Tuesday or Wednesday. Right, so I'll walk back up here. I'm gonna grab all my stuff. I'm going to come down, if I don't disappear off the camera there, I'm going to start cracking on with some of these jobs. First things first, I'll snip the flower heads off that rhubarb, get a shot of them. Then I think I'm going to put the onions out. So I'll take you through on putting the onions out, then we'll do the potatoes on the back of that as well. Back with you in a minute when we've got a few jobs ready to go. So it's time to get the onions out. No big secret to how I do onions. I don't have any sort of secret to success. It's quite a straightforward technique. The ones you saw down the far end there, actually, they're the Kelsey onions. They were bought as plug plants from DT Brown even, and I bought them by sheer mistake. I had them in my basket from ages ago, and I went to buy some other seeds, and I didn't mean to buy them, but I forgot they were in the basket. I ended up going through the checkout, and then these 20 Kelsey onion plants turned out, so I had to quickly fill that bed up there and get them planted, because they came as live plants, so they had to go out straight away. Anyway, these ones are slightly different. These are onion sets, so you know what they are, tiny little onions that you grow from. And I do put them in the cell trays first, just to get the roots going first before they go out into the soil. We had great success with these last year. They were absolutely brilliant. We had onions for ages, and I think the key to it was how we stored them afterwards, by sort of hanging them up, letting the skins form on them. They lasted for months and they kept us going for ages, which is why I'm going to try and grow so many of them this year. So you see, we've got 20 up there. I've got some growing in a little planter at home as well, and we've probably got about another 20-25 here, and I've got another 2 trays of these at home. Some of them are red ones, these are sort of white ones, brown ones. I don't know what you call them. I don't know if you call them white or brown. I guess the onion's white and the skin's brown, so I don't know which colour you call them. I hear them called both different things. But you'll see I've left these in here for far too long, because the overnight temperatures here still, just last week we're down to -5, so I've held off putting them out, and eventually I've got this queue of plants at home, probably similar to a lot of what you have, waiting to go out. And over the next few weeks, the temperatures don't go below 0, The lowest I've seen them forecast is sort of 2 or 3 degrees, so there's even a bit of a buffer there for if it changes. But what will happen is when I pop these out, you'll see the roots on them. Let me just come a bit closer to show you there. You see how the roots are all sort of bound around the bottom. That's not ideal. When you sort of see them coming out the bottom of the cell trays, that's really when you want to get them planted out. Same for anything. When you start seeing the roots coming out the bottom, you know it's time to do something. And if I show you them, look at the roots hanging out the bottom of them, man. They needed to be out weeks ago. However, we are where we are. They'll still grow into brilliant onions. They'll be fine. Just not ideal growing conditions. But again, there's no real secret to this. This is one of the last dug beds I've got. So we've got 3 beds sort of next to each other here that get dug over in the traditional sense. And to be honest, I think once these onions are done in here, once they've grown and I've picked them, I'm going to start converting these beds that are left to no dig, because from the no dig ones that I've got over there sort of behind the camera are so much easier to manage in terms of weeds and condition of the soil and nutrients and things like that. It just makes life so much easier. You know, I work full time in a really busy job. I've got a young family. Time's precious a lot of the time. So anything that makes it easier to manage is a massive win in my book. So yeah, I think these 3 beds here will eventually become dug beds. Dug beds? No dig beds even. Anyway, I'll just plant out one of these onions and I'll show you how I do it. I say there's no massive secret. I'm just going to dig a wee hole. Did any of you ever watch Gardener's World? Have you noticed Monty Don holds his trowel like that and he does this sort of backwards digging kind of thing? Maybe I'll give that a shot. Maybe there's something in that makes your plants grow better. But I just gave this bed a quick hoe over this morning. There's a few weeds starting to appear in it. Not many, not loads of them, you know, things like willow herb, and there's a couple of thistles and things like that. Get in there with the hoe, get it worked over, chop the tops off, and when it's sunny like this, they'll dry out and die in no time. So I'm going to dig a hole, and if I don't, it's difficult when I've got these gloves on for getting into things like this. This is bloodfish and bone, just a little sprinkle in the bottom, and I'm not going to plant the onion directly on top of it. A little bit of soil back on top of the bloodfish and bone, because it's so strong. I don't want that burning the root system on the plant, so a little layer of soil on there. Once that's in there, those roots are going to start to grow again and become stronger. The bloodfish and bone is going to break down, spread itself out, and the roots are eventually going to find it when it's not as strong as it is now, and the little pellets and a chance of burning the roots there. So I'm actually going to put a little bit more in there, because that hole I've made is a little bit too deep. Pop it in. I say there's no secret to this. Backfill it, and you probably can't see it there. I'll take the camera off the tripod at the end here and show you the bed full of onions, but I've got it just so the top of the onions sort of poking out there at the top, but I'll show you how that's done at the end. And what I'll do is, once I've got all the onions in, I'm going to put a scattering of the 6X chicken pellets on there, just to provide that sort of slow release nutrition. So when it rains, it's going to start breaking them up, and the nutrients in that are slowly going to soak into that soil and help the onions to grow. Right, I'll be back with you once I've got all this planted out, and we'll show you how it's looked, and I'll talk a little bit about the spacing and why I've spaced the onions out how I have. Back with you in a minute there. So there we have it. That's all the onions in. There's 29 onions in here, I think, if I counted them up properly before. And see, I've got some at home as well, so that's not bad, those sets. There's only 2 of them there that maybe it's a bit rotten or haven't germinated properly, so we're just going to leave them there. We'll get a shot of them into the bin. But I mentioned before about spacing. When I've planted them out, I actually use my trowel to measure things out. So they're 1 trowel apart that way and they're 1 trowel apart that way. And what that does is, because this is a dug bed and it's prone to weeds coming up through it, is it gives me enough space in between the onions, even when they grow and they start to swell, that I can get the hoe in there and hoe up and down and keep those weeds at bay, so they're not taking nutrients out of the soil and taking them away from the onions. So again, like I said before, quick hole. I did them all sort of back trowel method like that, like Monty Don. So if they don't grow, I'm going to blame him. Dug a hole, a few bits of bloodfish and bone in the bottom, bit of soil on the top, onion sets gone in, filled it in with soil, patted it down, I've sprinkled some chicken manure pellets all the way across the top there, and because it's so dry at the moment, they've had a watering can full of water, and I'm going to head off and do the potatoes next. And what I'll do later on is I'll come back, and once that's soaked in, I'll give them another can of water. Again, just because it's been so dry, and we're not forecast rain until well into next week, so we just want to give them a good start and get them established. Right, speaking of which, I'm going to head over that way next to where that fleece is. I'm going to get the fleece off, I'm going to dig a trench, get a line set so I've got it nice and straight. Now last year I didn't do that because it was the first time doing potatoes in that bed, but I was watching another YouTube video, and it might have been Nigel at Muddy Boots, I can't remember who it was, and they were talking about putting the string lines across to plant your potatoes in a straight line, and I wasn't sure why, but then he went on to say what it does is it spots any potatoes that you've left in the ground from last year that start growing in different places where you don't want them. And when I did those potatoes last weekend in the bed over there, I actually dug up 4 potatoes that I found from last year. So when I've put mine in nice neat rows, and again I've spaced them out properly so the potatoes have got enough room to grow. If you end up with ones in the wrong place, then start taking up that row, that room, you're going to end up with little potatoes. So I'll get that measured out, I'll dig the trench, and then I'll show you how I'm going to put them in and what I'm going to do. It's going to be so hopefully you can see this nice big long trench we've got dug here for the potatoes, similar-ish to the onions. So a nice big long trench. It's about 9 to 10 inches deep, all the way along the bottom, some of that blood fish and bone. Then I've just sprinkled some soil on top of it, again similar to them. When the potatoes go in, they're not sitting directly on top of the blood fish and bone. When the roots come out and the water comes in, that'll all start breaking up and dissolved and diluted down, and it's great nutrition to get the potatoes started with. So again, I'm just going to grab this. We have used the Mark's allotment plot official unit of measurement for measuring these out, which is 1 trowel length apart, and when we come to put the other 2 or 3 rows in that we get in here, they'll be 2 trowel widths apart that way. So that is an official unit of measurement. I might have to try and trademark that, the Wolf Garden trowel unit of measurement. Anyway, so that's all been put in there. The potatoes are nicely spaced out. These ones here that we've put in a Maris Piper, the absolute king or queen of potatoes. I love Maris Piper, absolutely the best. Get the goose fat on the go, making roast potatoes absolutely brilliant. So all there is left to do is all this soil that I've dug out the trench, nice and simple. I'm just going to pull it over nice and gently, big bit there, get that a bit of a break up, and that. Right, we're just going to pull that over like that, and I'm going to do that all the way along this trench. And again, we've got some, oh, where are they? Over there, I'm looking at them over there. We've got some Charlotte potatoes, but I think I'm going to do them in the bucket. They're second early, so they'll go in another bucket. And we've also got, well, what's called international kidney. So those of you who don't know, international kidney are actually Jersey Royals, but you can't call them Jersey Royals because they're not grown in Jersey. So I think here in Linlithgow, we'll grow some Linlithgow Royal potatoes. That's what they're going to be. So I've only got half a dozen of them, so I probably only need, you know, half a row up here. So we'll get them put in. That's actually going to leave me a bit of space in this bed. I don't know what I'll do with it. Last year I grew radishes next to the potatoes, and it was great. So I've got some radish seed. Given the temperatures going up, might fire some radishes in there. Raw radishes are too. French breakfast, white icicle. They grow dead quick and they're really, really good. So I think I might fire some of them in as well. Right, I'm gonna get all this tidied up, looking nice and neat and tidy. And the one thing I always forget to do that's really important with something like potatoes is put a label in so I know which potatoes are where. So I'm gonna do that as well. As soon as I've put this soil in, I'm gonna go and do a label. So I'll get cracking with that, and I'll be back with you in a minute there. Right, that's me just about done. I will apologise now for any wobbly camera that you're seeing at the moment. I think I have just about had enough with that blooming dongle thing that I keep trying to use. It's an absolute pain and it's driving me round the twist today. So I'm going to have a rethink. I might think about using a GoPro because it's got inbuilt stabilisation, so it makes the the picture's nice and still. Unlike now, you've got a bit of a wobbly camera with it resting on my legs there when I'm down on my honkers. Anyway, this is the potatoes we did today. We've got the Maris Piper and the Linlithgow Royals in there, so we'll see how they grow. They'll probably take around about 15-16 weeks or so to get on. That's the other potato bed. It's the one I dug last weekend. I didn't do any filming for that one, but in there we've got Sarpo Mira, we've got Sarpo Axona, Yukon Gold, and if I see this one, Mayan Rose, right? And we'll have a scooch up there. That's just been done exactly the same. The bloodfish and bone in the bottom of the trench, bit of soil, potatoes in, and then covered over. Let's move down here, and here we are. Here's the onions done. So exactly the same, but they're all in the little individual holes, and we've put some of the chicken manure on top of there. There's a bit of space at the bottom of the bed there. Like I say, we've got some red onions on the go. Speaking of which, I was talking about the white or the brown onions before, whatever you call them. Why are purple coloured onions called red onions? There's a good question. If anybody knows, let us know in the comments below. Anyway, everything else around here, all this, everything's had a good water because it's so dry at the moment. And the last job we did to, oh, hold on, backing up. There you go, look at this. When I was saying before about we found potatoes in the ground, there's some of them there. That's for volunteer potatoes. That's the word I was looking for before, and I couldn't think of it. Volunteer potatoes. They're the ones that you leave in the ground from the year before by mistake. The rhubarb here, this has had a little bit of a tidy up. It's looking a little bit, I've had one picking from it. I've just taken all the flowers off it. It's perhaps looking just a little bit sad for itself, so I don't normally have to water it, but again, we're almost in drought-like conditions in April, so I think I'm going to give them all a good drink and just get them on the go there. Right-ho, that's me done for today. Thank you very much for watching. Some interesting news at the end there. I had a phone call from First Tunnels yesterday to tell me that the polytunnel should be delivered on Monday. So there'll be loads of stuff coming all about us getting the polytunnel built and set up right at just at the end of the plot there that you can see the end of all the stuff there. We've got that space for it. So if you want to keep up to date with that or what we're doing, please give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up. If you hit the little bell icon thing, I think that tells you every time we post a new video. Anyway, that's me done for today, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks again. Bye, folks.